Have you ever looked at a model and thought, how do they get those painterly pro-level finishes that look so effortless, but definitely aren't? In today's video, I'm sharing a technique that has completely transformed how I paint my models, the reverse hybrid approach. It's an innovative mix of airbrushing and hand painting that combines the speed of one with the control of the other, perfect for tackling models like this kit club. The kit club isn't just any kit, it's a showcase of what's possible when you combine classical techniques with a modern twist. This method draws inspiration from the stunning finishes I saw while working in a Japanese studio where the pros layered lacquers, enamels and acrylics with absolute mastery. Our Discord workbench crew jokingly calls it the just be good at it technique. But don't worry, today we'll break it down into steps that make sense, even if you're not fluent in art wizardry just yet. Here's the kicker. This technique isn't just about achieving a fantastic finish. It's about infusing your models with character and storytelling, all while keeping the process approachable. If you've ever struggled to balance speed and precision, or felt bogged down by rigid step-by-step methods, this technique could be a game changer for you. You may recognize elements of this method from my classic CPIG video, where I started with rattle can primers and transitioned to hand brushing. This process mirrors techniques I often saw in a studio where simplicity combined with mastery of the finish was key. Those methods inspired me so much that I've spent years refining and perfecting them, and today I'm excited to share the latest iteration with you. In this video, I'll walk you through the reverse hybrid concept, explain how I came up with the name, and show you exactly how I applied it to the kit club painting process. By the end, you'll have a toolkit of ideas to apply to your own builds, and hopefully some inspiration to push your skills even further. This video is a reasonably advanced tutorial aimed at intermediate plus modelers who are ready to expand their painting repertoire. I'll guide you through each step of the process, showcasing how the reverse hybrid painting concept can balance efficiency with intricate detail work on the kit club model. Back when I worked in a Japanese studio, nobody used fancy names for these approaches, they just called it painting the model. It was such a natural and common methodology that it didn't need a label. The simplicity was part of what made it so effective. But today, with the rise of named techniques, partly fueled by paint companies and partly because it genuinely helps us share ideas, I figured it might help to give this approach a name. Otherwise, I just call it what my mentor Koyokuyama sensei used to say whenever I asked him overly technical questions. Tada nurebai! Which roughly translates to, just paint the darn model, stupid. Koyokuyama sensei also described one of his favorite processes, hand brushing the model first, then using an airbrush over it to tighten things up, as the hybrid approach. You might remember that from my Altair series. Out of respect for him, I'll keep that terminology intact. This version, however, flips the order, so we could call it the reverse hybrid. Not to claim it or own it, but simply give us a reference point when we're talking about it together. So grab your favorite brushes and settle in. This is going to be a fun one. And if you love learning techniques like this, stick around until the end where I'll share how you can dive even deeper into advanced model painting. I started with Tamiya Fine Surface Primer, my go-to for mixed materials. Its metal etching properties ensure a strong bond, making it ideal for this kind of project. Priming isn't just prep, it sets the foundation for everything that follows. Next, I airbrushed Guy-Note's Evo Oxide Red Surfacer to establish a factory-style base coat, perfectly aligned with my head canon for this kit. This warm foundation enhances the desert pink tones to come while offering durability, especially for hand brushing. Pro tip, products like GSI Krios Surfacer range or the Guy-Note's Evo Surfacer range harden up if left overnight into a slightly tougher surface than standard acrylic lacquers. To define depth, I applied Evo Black Surfacer on the shoulder components and frame, which also doubles as a durable base for the joints. During the airbrushing, I added faux shadows and subtle pre-shading to create dimension before layering on the colors. Upon inspection, I spotted some imperfect seam lines. Using Mr. Surfacer 1000 in mahogany, I employed a stippling technique to add texture and conceal the minor gaps. This blends beautifully with the reverse hybrid approach, making touch-ups seamless as the painting progresses. Painting the shoulder frame was a joy, and this is a really good way to practice your lacquer hand brushing skills. I used Mr. Color 626 Black Grey with my trusty Excalibur brush, sketching loosely to achieve a natural, slightly organic look. Efficiency was key here. I reactivated an existing black-grey paint dish, as discussed recently on the Paint on Plastic Discord. Next, here is my dry dish of Mr. Color 52, Field Grade 2, which I used to hand paint the double Neue Panzerschreck launcher. You'll see this color again when I come back for a second round of refinement. For now, I'll demo how to reactivate a dry dish of Mr. Color 60 RLM02 Grey by dribbling in some clean Mr. Color leveling thinner, and then mixing it up with my stirrer. I prepare the paint for use. Then, with swift and deliberate motions, I sketch the paint onto the single Panzerschreck launcher. This process involves fast, confident, very decisive strokes, avoiding overworking or excessive retouching. The result is a beautifully mottled and speckled color coat, achieved through what might appear to be a simple action of just painting it, but in reality, it's a nuanced and complex technique. Mastering this technique requires a fine understanding of the paint mix, the ratio of the thinner, the consistency of the paint, and the amount of paint loaded onto your brush. Achieving the perfect balance is immensely satisfying, but demands significant sensory input, visual observations, tactile feedback, and the development of muscle memory. A substantial volume of practice and inevitable mistakes is essential to building the kind of fluency you see here in my application. The RLM02 pairs beautifully with the oxide red base, creating a striking combination that I'm particularly pleased with. As you work, take care to monitor your application closely. Gently burst any bubbles that may form and plan ahead to leave just enough primer exposed. This subtle exposure creates a natural, economical paint chipping effect without actually removing any paint. These areas will be ready for additional enhancement during subsequent detailing and weathering stages. For this particular application, I'm using a rough Ma.K brush. It's not the only tool for this kind of effect, but it's highly effective for achieving an extremely varied and irregular finish. You'll notice me rotating the brush as I work to avoid creating a uniform stamp effect. Instead, this technique produces a dynamic analog variation. The result varies two key factors. First, a lighter touch. This keeps the bristles less splayed, depositing more paint. And a heavier touch. This splays the bristles more, amplifying the effect but leaving less paint on the surface. This delicate balance of control allows for experimentation and creativity, making the process both rewarding and enjoyable. Practice, and most importantly having fun, are essential to mastering this technique. Hai, Honban Stato! For the Desert Pink, I have some Mr. Color 7 Brown and UG10 Shah's Pink left on my dish from the Nize paint steps, which I've heard from my friends is pretty popular with them for learning how to use lacquer paints for hand brushing. So I suggest having a look at that one as well if you're really into the Desert Pink finish. Now I've reactivated them again with Mr. Color leveling thinner to apply over the oxide red base. By working with the oxide red primer in the shaded areas, I create subtle tonal depth changes by allowing the paint underneath to reactivate. One of the questions I get most often is how do I stop the paint reactivating from underneath? But that's actually a feature of this one, and you're producing a wet on wet, soft blended look. So Do allow a little bit to reactivate, but also by moving with speed, moving quickly, you will keep that to a minimum. This step highlights the reverse hybrid method, broad airbrushing for efficiency, followed by precision hand brushing for direct control, starting loose and finishing tight. If you watch closely, you'll see a self-mottling effect as fresh paint contrasts with reactivated mixed paint, forming intricate micro patterns in the patina. This approach can lead to either perfection or a muddy mess. It's all about balance. It's an as much as needed, nothing more, nothing less process that is mentally satisfying but challenging to break into standard step-by-step instructions. It's kind of like the equivalent of, now draw the whole owl. To add character, I applied a thicker coat of paint to the head and upper back, achieving a brighter, more vibrant pink that contrasts with the torso's tones. This variation adds nuance to the finish and is a personal preference of mine, as I enjoy adding these subtle effects, but beginners may want to skip this part. With the brush less loaded and drying, I shifted focus to auxiliary details like the headlamps, chest armor, and lower front areas. Adjusting the brush pressure, I created a worn appearance without needing additional wear techniques. For the IR unit, for example, I jumped on the timing of the almost dry brush to use it to mimic hairspray chipping effects, achieving controlled texture with minimal effort. This is quite an advanced one to try whilst you're painting. Just be careful with this one, it can be a little bit difficult to do. Returning to the Neue Panzerschreck launchers, I added a second coat with a pretty new flat brush, using longitudinal strokes for uniformity and refining the faux chipping I established with the first layer. By experimenting with thicker and thinner paints in specific areas, I balanced painterly roughness with a controlled finish to elevate the visual impact. Finally, I used water-based acrylics for sharp opaque details that contrast beautifully against lacquer paints. Acrylics reflect light differently in digital photography, adding depth, a subtle but rewarding touch for advanced modelers who are upping their photography game. Beginners can skip this step until they're ready to experiment with it. To recap, we went through priming with durable surfaces, building up tonal depth with pre-shading and layered painting, and adding realistic wear with controlled hand brushing techniques. Each step was tailored to balance efficiency and creativity, showcasing how you can elevate your model with just a few thoughtful methods. For me, this project emphasized how small tweaks like reactivating old paint or mastering brush pressure can transform the final result. It's really these details that bring a model to life, and I hope you found inspiration to try something new in your own builds. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments which part of the process you'd like to see more of. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to share your own progress. It's always inspiring to see what you're working on. Thanks for joining me in this deep dive into painting the Kit Club. If you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Next, we'll tackle the weathering techniques for the Kit Club, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. For more on the Kit Club's backstory and design, check out the Kit Club Digital Guide and Hund Volume 3, ideal for fans wanting to dive deeper. And for behind-the-scenes content and exclusive tutorials, join us on Patreon. A huge thanks to my supporters for making this possible. As always, keep experimenting, stay creative, and I'll see you in the next build. Happy modeling!